Welcome to Sports Scope, the most influential sports talk show in the nation.
What is today, the 19th?
Stay tuned for updates and great sports content.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Sports Scope. I'm your host, Robert Butler, on this 7th day, Friday, July the 7th here, 2024. Now, list 23. I don't know what I'm thinking here. I got a great show on tonight. Carlos Mad New Yorker Chavez and backstage. Going to bring him on. Going to ask his thoughts about Dalvin Cook possibly being interested in going to the New York Jets. The Wembanyama, Britney Spears situation there. Also, Brian Cashman, has he run his course at 25 years as the Yankees general manager and more? We'll be back here in 49 seconds and hit the ground running here on Sports Scope. Hello, Sports Scope followers. The program has seen tremendous growth since going 5 days a week. I just wanted to thank everybody for your cash contributions and sharing the program with friends and families. Just a reminder, if you want to contribute to the program, go to the Cash App, the cash sign, and Sports Scope. There are other ways to contribute to the program listed at the bottom of the screen. If you want to advertise on the program, go to Sports, that is Sports with an S, another S, Scope, SKOPE, at gmail.com, just like it's listed at the bottom of the screen. Thank you and enjoy the program. Also, going to talk a little college football and the upcoming, not this year, but the 2024 year, and this crazy schedule. University of Florida, their opponents are with Texas and Oklahoma added to the SEC. Hey, Carlos, how you doing, man?
Yo, happy Friday. What's up?
Happy Friday. Yeah, I'm glad it's Friday. Another hot one out here.
Woo!
Very busy day, man. Was it hot up there?
Man, it's hot, bro. It feels like I'm in the South right now, man. It's hot.
It really does. Yeah. You know, when I was living up there, I was living in a studio with a roommate of mine, Kenny. I don't know if you ever met him or not. Friend from high school. And we didn't have a HVAC in this thing or nothing. But it got to be like 91 degrees in April. 2002 was one of the hottest Aprils ever, man. And I had to get me a window unit, man. And it was crazy hot up there. Because when it gets hot up there, it really gets hot. You got all those buildings. You got all steam coming off cars.
My man, stuff. You was living in a shoebox, my man. You had to get yourself a
shoebox with no air, man. I was dying. But we got it squared away. I was really hot under the collar that day, more ways than one. Good to have you on the program tonight. Now, listen, I didn't realize that Brian Cashman, the general manager of the Yankees, 25-year general manager, been there a very long time. The great Bill Walsh, the orchestrator, West Coast offense, San Francisco 49ers head coach, says, I never want to be anywhere over 10 years, whether it be a head coach or an executive. He says people, employees, management, players, you name it, all seem to tune me out. 10 years is my rule. More than double that, practically triple for Brian Cashman. The pitching of the Yankees is not what it was during those championship years. They've got a huge payroll. I think about Giancarlo Stanton, and I think about Aaron Judge, basically the same guy. They're 10th in ERA, or they're 10th in saves. They're in the top 10 in ERA, but the pitching's not quite championship ready. Do you think Cashman may be the problem with the Yankees right now?
No, the biggest problem is the fact that they have to get those high-end players at the high-end contracts. That's the problem. That's not his fault necessarily. And then also when he gets these rookies that come in under the minor league contracts, trying to keep him in the system as long as he can and try to use them.
Appreciate it, Corp.
Yeah. He's just a product of what it takes to be the top brass and Yankees in Yankee land, right? Here's the thing: baseball is different from football, right? Because baseball takes a lot more it takes a lot more, getting people under you to help you, you can't just pick players, you know, where you're
Okay.
GM, you have a scout team and all that stuff. But then again, you know, these kids are going to college for a little bit longer, and baseball is different. You're getting kids sometimes at the age of 15, 16 years old with a 16-year-old draft nowadays, you know? So it's a different animal. So maybe 25 years is like 10 years. If you think about it, if you want to put it like, you know, you want to put the gauge on it.
Yeah.
Is Cashman done? I mean, the Yankees have been in the playoffs since he's been there, right? They've only missed a
well,
playoff.
you know how the Yankees they have a high bar, you know. It's been a while since 2008. Was it the last World Series?
Yeah, and then but another thing too is that he's also been through the death of the big GM, right? Of Daddy Yankee, not the rapper, but you know, so you know I feel like fans are getting tired of him because they hear his name. But if they see what he's been able to do and what he, you know, has been trying to do, like, you know, today's the first day that Carlos Rendon is coming back from an injury that he's pitching.
Okay.
That's the contract that they signed last year that they was hoping to get, you know, some high quality starts from him, and he hasn't been able to because of his injury. So now today's the first day he's out there pitching. But you know, injuries happen. Players, you know, they peak, sometimes they fall. Players come and go. You know, the rookies are in and out of the system. And you know, if I were to give him any kind of grading, like, and you compare him to like the other teams in Major League Baseball, he gets a B minus, a B minus / B plus, B minus. Like, he's not bad. Okay. His players just haven't played up to contract, but that feels like the NBA today, like where players can play up to their contract, right? I mean, and you can't.
And Carlos Stanton, I love Carlos Stanton. Don't get me wrong.
Carlos Stanton is
well of a talent, man. But you know, if you got him and Judge on big contracts, I would say maybe think about moving one of them for 2 or 3 relief pitchers. It's just, you know,
I mean, we're fans. We can't say just move this guy, just move that guy. Like, it's easy.
Right. Well, it's got to be food for thought. I understand,
yeah.
Like you said, it's easier said than done. Especially because it's not like the NFL where you can cut people. It's more
right. And then
the NBA.
You got to pay those contracts out, or you got to find somebody to pay those contracts or find.
They may be the only team that can afford it. Maybe other than the Mets across the river there.
I think the biggest hindrance for Cashman, to get back to him, is the fact that he is the GM of the New York Yankees. I think that's the biggest hindrance. But if you look at it through the decades, and Cashman's been through 2 decades, this has been 2 decades of pretty decent baseball, pretty good baseball. Yeah. And if you compare that to other teams, man, again, he might just get a B plus / B minus, but you can't, you know, there are a lot of GMs have come and gone from other teams. One guy specifically is the one who put that Cubs team together and the Boston team together. Yeah. He's not even a GM right now, you know? So, you know, you can't. Who you comparing?
The Boston and the Cubs together.
Yeah, DOS.
Yeah, absolutely.
Who are you comparing Cashman to, and what grade are you giving that guy? Not Theo Epstein, for instance, but anybody else who's been who's been doing this, right?
Yeah, and I would have to look around and see other scouts and stuff. But you know, Yankees, you got the Yes Network, got deep pockets. Now, Dad has been dead for quite a few years. Maybe,
but people keep bringing that up. Oh, he's not like his father. He's not like his father.
His dad, you know.
Are you like your father? I mean, like, shouldn't we should be a reflection of our father / a better version, right? That's the goal for our fathers.
Oh, you don't want
right? You know what
Steinbrenner of 78 hiring people to look after Reggie Jackson and private investigators and all that.
Yeah, I mean,
the old man won though.
It's a different time. Plus, you're talking about
George Steinbrenner. I don't know why I couldn't think of his first name. Legend.
We live in different times. The Yankees are a different team. They're $1 billion team now. You know, they're in the billions. The value's up. The ante and the value's up top on them. So that TV, media, all that makes a difference. This guy's in the middle of everything. He's done a great job to keep his cool. He's not in the media like every day.
I would compare it to whoever runs Houston. whoever runs Houston, I would compare him to them. Maybe
Houston just got new ownership not a few years ago though. But look,
okay.
Like, how can I say this? Like, I think as fans, because they want a championship every single year, like because of supposedly the best team in baseball, supposedly because they're supposed to be. I think that's another jab at them. But man, I wouldn't. To be honest with you, I don't think I want another kind of person in there to be doing what he does for the Yankees.
It's a pressure. I've talked to Corey about this, but it's a pressure cooking job. You're the general manager of New York Yankees. I mean, you are on the hot seat every day, and I commend him for it. But it just seems like that pitching's just not what he seemed like he's kind of going more offensive lenience versus that kind of pitching. And obviously, they don't have a generational guy like a Mariano Rivera, so I understand that side of it too.
When they got Cole, they replaced they were replacing CC, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And that hasn't been bad for them. I mean, he's done pretty good. I don't want to be defending the guy because sometimes he gets on my nerves with some of the moves that he's made. But again, they might irritate me. But for the Yankees, on the money level, on the fact that they're the best team in baseball, on the fact that they're still going into the playoffs and they're more of a hitting team than a pitching team, as a fan, they still competitive. Like,
yeah,
and like even
they're not terrible pitching. Well, they're still top 10 in ERA, 10th in saves, but that's a big deal though. If you're 10th in save, you want to be closer to 5th.
But they're still 8 games up or 7 games up in their divisions. I mean, come on. I don't know.
They're 8 games back in their division. What are you talking about?
What I'm saying, like, I mean,
you mean the wild card?
They're still in the hunt, is what I'm saying. Look, I mean,
yeah.
Look, all I can say is this: for what it's worth, and for the guy being there for 25 years, if you want to throw him in the fire, throw him in the fire. But I mean, I think
it's a sports talk topic. I'm not sure if I'm ready to put the axe on him, but I kind of realize that their pitching it seems to be an ongoing thing. It's just not quite as it seems like they could have done more in the offseason. Would they get beat 13-4 the other night?
14.
I mean,
14. No, listen, but
Robert, like ran it up on them.
Everybody's big thing right now. Everybody's suffering right now. All the teams are suffering now because of pitching. It's not just the Yankees, right? The problem with the Yankees and Mets is that their pitching is doing terrible and their hitting is terrible as well. So they're going to be in the mix of this media and this nonsense about, well, we deserve better as fans. And we should get the best, but at the end of the day, we can't. We don't play the game. We're not on the field. We're not making.
Well, the Mets haven't lost a game this month yet, have they?
It's been a short month so far. So keep it.
It's 6 games. It's 6 games.
Yeah, pause on the brakes on that. But I mean, we got to be realistic at the end of the day, And another thing too is this is baseball. It's not like Tecmo or RBI baseball. This is like real. This is
And that's one of my favorites too, man.
So there's high expectations. We all have high expectations. I mean, I have high expectations, and I'm not trying to defend. I'm not trying to defend anybody, but I'm just being realistic and saying, who do you compare Cashman to that has done a better job and has been at the game and with one team?
Yeah,
like who? Yeah. and why would you want to switch him out now?
And the other side of that argument is who's consistently had the amount of resources that Cashman's had. They're one of the first few teams that have their own network. The Yes Network, they have a lot more revenue than other teams. I mean, you're really competing with who? The Dodgers? You're only really competing with, I mean, as far as revenue, I mean, obviously the crosstown team with the newly, you got Steve Cohen, but I mean, you're not really competing with anybody money-wise, other than those teams I just mentioned. That's that. I mean, it's playing a little devil's advocate, a little bit.
No, and those high contracts aren't coming back to the Yankees and making them a better team. I mean, but they have that Donaldson contract that's kind of killing them. They need to move him eventually. Yeah. They were trying to save money getting him. They have the LeMahieu contract. he might have to go too. He had that toe injury and never recovered. Gleyber Torres, they had him as a high prospect that he's been playing. They're not getting what they want out of him. So these are players that either peaked or are not peaking. Like, that's not a Cashman issue. He finally got rid of some of the players a little bit last year and gave Judge a bigger contract, and the fans screamed. I, as a fan, said, you can move Judge, that's okay, because you need more players and pitching. I was okay with that, but everybody else was screaming, blah, 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 you need to keep him. He's a captain of the team. They made him the captain. The Yankee fans should be happy because they got what they asked for. They got Judge in the contract and they made him the captain of the team. I mean, you can't buy a World Series. You have to play for that. But had the Yankees been able to buy a World Series, that's different. Maybe it would come to fruition. But you can't have your cake and eat it too, man. You got to they got to cut that up into slices and enjoy every little bit.
They've always had those big power hitters in with the Yankees. They
still got him.
Cashman's his whole. Remember, he's the one that okayed obviously ownership, but giving A-Rod a second contract when he wasn't doing anything in the playoffs. I mean, you guys are the only team that could really, or not you. I mean, the Yankees are the only team that could really, really handle that A-Rod contract at the time. And then they turned around and gave him $5 million more and extended him. They were probably bidding against themselves, but that's revisionist history.
They did that too with CC Sabathia. Remember, everybody was like, "Well, he's cooked. CC,
yeah. And
CC
he's getting so big,
Yeah, and CC proved everybody wrong.
Wells out there.
Well, CC Sabathia. Look, he was overweight. He got that World Series. He had a personal issue.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if people know about, but he had a personal issue. He got cleaned up. He lost weight. He got stronger, and he did 2 more years on the contract. And he did it well. But I think
that's pitching. I mean,
but I'm saying is that Sabathia did that for himself to do that because he was on the contract. Not every player comes back and says, I'm gonna go 100%, get fix myself and try better. It's just every you hope.
Do you think they'll go after Ohtani? Ohtani's one of the biggest free agents of all time, man. I think the Mets should go after him.
I know that the Yankees and the Mets are going to go after Ohtani for sure. Yeah, that's not a question. The only question is that does Ohtani want to be on the East Coast? And I don't think he does. And I don't blame him if he doesn't come to New York for any team. And I'll tell you why. It's a shorter flight to Japan from California than it is to New York.
I've been to LA a couple times, and it looks like Japan out there sometimes in LA.
Yeah, so
they're nice people though.
Yeah, no, and they have a lot of a good Asian population here in New York.
Momo, remember him?
Yeah,
but the Dodgers. Dodgers are going to go hard too.
Yeah, they got little Japan here in Brooklyn and something but it's not just about what New York has to offer Ohtani. It's what Ohtani wants. Yeah. These guys nowadays, they get what they want. And I don't think he can handle the media here in New York the way he's handling it in LA. I think it's like a different vibe, right?
It's going to have to be sold to him and maybe $40 more million.
The money's not.
I know Cohen's got it.
I'll tell you something. The way Judge handled his deal, and he actually he said he wanted to stay in New York, and he actually meant it because he's here now. And he rebuffed San Francisco, right? He said, I'm not taking the higher pay. Because I guess he's gonna retire there, but he wants to be here. He likes the whole legend thing of being the Yankees, and he likes the fact that everybody wants.
I did like the fact that and plus, California taxes are a little worse than New York too. So it might have not been that much difference, really, if you add in. No, so and Frisco's very expensive.
He just got to live in New Jersey. That's it. I mean, that's what everybody else.
Well,
does.
I mean, he could probably get a penthouse up there in Manhattan somewhere.
Oh, man, be like Derek Jeter had like his own 3 floors in an apartment building.
Man, it must be nice living like that. I lived in a freaking shoebox, man. Had to walk. Had to get a.
You should have just talked to Jeter. He would have rented you his closet, which is better than the apartment you had.
Man, 100 square foot of 63rd Amsterdam, next to Juilliard, and there were some projects close by.
to be honest with you, I think his closet was like 300 square foot. Was like a quarter of the floor.
Yeah. Well, hey, I couldn't believe we made it, man. But my roommate, he worked day shift, then I worked second shift, so we didn't have to deal with each other.
That works out. But that's what you got to do.
It was all right, I mean, it was hard to get any lady friends to hang out. They were claustrophobic up in there. Hey, man, last couple of weeks I've been meaning to talk to you about this. College football.
Ooh.
Next year, man, can you imagine 20 years ago when we were in college that if you would have said in 2024 there's going to be a 12-team playoff and Oklahoma and Texas are going to be playing in the SEC, I would have said, you are crazy. We'll be lucky to get +1. And now we're going to get 12 teams next year. That you got a copy of that Florida schedule. Is that the hardest schedule in the history of college football next year?
Right. So everybody's talking about that. All the media's, bringing the hype. But here's the thing. As much as it's a hard schedule, is the Florida team up to the hype? Are they going to be ready?
No, I think Billy Napier, if he don't get fired this year, he'll get fired next year.
But man, Florida is not Georgia and Florida is not Alabama. I mean, they were struggling last year with the schedule they had.
No, Miami's supposed to be better at Florida State, LSU,
Kentucky,
Georgia,
all those teams.
At Texas. Texas is potentially a national championship contender, man, with their recruiting.
So tell me something. What is you look at this schedule, right? First 3 weeks, are they 1-3?
Right. Well, I mean, I think they can beat UCF, but that won't be a picnic. They might be. I can guarantee they'll probably beat Samford. But
look, how about this?
They'll probably beat Mississippi State.
Robert,
that's it.
Look, you're not looking at it like the way I'm looking at it. Miami's going to give them a headache.
Yeah,
they probably not going to win. They're probably not going to win that game, to be honest with you.
Yeah,
right. And
there's no order yet on this schedule, so we don't know like who they're playing after a bye week and all that stuff. Don't get me wrong, but it's still very difficult. I've never seen a schedule like this.
What the thing is that even if you put those teams, UCF, which is not a cup, like you said, it's not a picnic, and then Samford, a team that might be hungry. If you put them on one of those schedules where they have to play the Florida State or Georgia or whenever, one of those teams before they have to play Samford and they get injuries, they might have a tough time playing in Samford. And let's say they beat Samford 21-14. They still got to come back and beat a top-rated team. Right. So they're not going to win. So they might win that game, but the week after that is, it's not going to be no easy task.
Kentucky beat them this past year.
Ole Miss and Mississippi State are supposed to be better this year too.
Yeah. I mean, you're talking Lane Kiffin, Mark Stoops, Georgia, who's got the #1 class in the country again, coming into 24. Obviously, they play them every year. Texas A&M with all their recruits. Texas is just loaded. Archie Manning could be the starting quarterback there.
This schedule that you sent me, is that the way it's going to be set up for the year, or is it those teams?
Well, it's just a random schedule for next year with the new two, with Oklahoma and Texas added into the SEC.
I don't know, man.
There's no way this team makes the playoff. Even in a 12-team playoff, I don't think they're going to make a 12-team playoff.
I'm going to tell you something, though, and not for nothing. And this is bad for Tennessee at the end of the day, because remember, Tennessee you were looking for either Kentucky or Ole Miss or even a Vanderbilt to pick up an extra 2 or 3 games, right?
Yeah.
When you're top rated, not all the time. Don't get my words twisted. When Tennessee's a top rated team, they was looking for those other teams to be like on the down, right?
Yeah.
Because they were on the up. And it didn't mean that they were guaranteed wins anyway. So they still had to get those wins. They were looking for maybe a Ole Miss, Mississippi State, and Kentucky and Vanderbilt. Let's say those 4 teams were always up and down. When they were up, the other teams were down.
Right.
The other teams,
it's not at the same time.
Right. So that schedule was very competitive. That was the tough schedule for the SEC already, right?
Yes.
The SEC East was already tough.
Yes.
Now Florida's got imagine what Tennessee's schedule looked like.
Yeah. Well, people were talking about this story about 3 weeks ago.
Right.
There was a joke that it's like the hardest schedule. I mean, usually back in the day, you followed Florida for a long time like I have. When they had Miami on the schedule and Florida State plus the SEC, that was rough enough. But now you got Texas, who is really good. And then you've got Texas A&M, who's got a lot of money. Ole Miss has got a legit coach there. And Lane Kiffin, the coaching's so much better. You know, it's so much better now for Ole Miss. And LSU's got think about the championship coaches here. Brian Kelly's played in the national championship. The coach for Georgia's got 2 national championships. Jimbo Fisher with Texas A&M, he's won a national championship.
Hopo was in a bowl game. Hopo was in a bowl game.
Josh was?
Josh Hopo.
Hopo?
Yeah, the coach for Tennessee.
Yeah. Heupel, yeah.
I'm sorry, Heupel. He's been in a few bowl games.
Yeah, he's really good. I mean, this is, like I said, so what's your thoughts on Oklahoma, Texas coming to the SEC next year? I don't know how good Texas is going. I think Texas could be a sleeper to win it all this year.
Hey, Robert, you hear that?
I think Oklahoma's going to get their coach probably fired.
Yeah, you hear that, Robert?
What?
Robert, you hear that?
What?
You hear that? That's ringing. Urban Meyer might be coming back to Florida.
I thought I was having sound problems.
They're gonna need something.
They do need Urban Meyer back. I don't care about all his past.
I mean, I don't know, man. Like, to be honest with you, all these kids wanting, transfer portal and all that. I don't know who wants to be playing in Florida. That's because it's not that you're trying to look for the best school and the easiest schedule.
This will be a hard schedule for Alabama. And they're the deepest team in the league.
It's about time. Look, for all you SEC fans out there, you're gonna have to buck up and don't be so excited because this year is gonna be crazy. Like,
well, I'm not even looking at this year's schedule, but I'm just so hyped up about next year with the Texas fans, and it's going to be interesting, man. It's really going to be interesting now that you got A&M and Texas in there, and Oklahoma. But Oklahoma's going to go coach shopping. Oklahoma will move off their coach probably in a year or two, and so will Florida, in my opinion. Maybe Texas if they don't live up to the hype.
That just seems like again. It won't just be the players jumping in the portal. It'll be the coaches too, because they're gonna. Yeah, this is not gonna be easy.
Here's food for thought. They might go after Deion Sanders. I think Deion's going to have a pretty good year this year with Colorado.
Colorado.
Yeah, he would love to go to Florida. Love that, even though he went to Florida State.
I tell you what, if Deion Sanders is smart, he would stay 3 to 5 years in Colorado just to not be part of that whole beginning of what's happening in the SEC with the addition of those universities, because you want to have stability. You want to know who you're playing, and that is just like that's just like my monkey wrench, man, in a bike tire, bro. It's a wrench in a bike tire, man.
With all those trends, I think he is one and done there, man.
You think so?
Yeah.
Nah, I mean,
he's going to win about 8 games, and he's going to be like, okay, I turned a 1-11 team down to 8-4 or whatever, and bye-bye. Come on, Florida.
Here's the thing. What I like about that situation in Colorado, and I feel like that's one reason what Colorado doesn't know, is like for Deion, is that Deion's going to do what Deion wants to do, and he's going to do it how he wants to do it. And Deion ain't never been one of those guys to be like, I did it one time. and that's it. He's always been. If you see what he did with Atlanta, he was with Atlanta for a few years before he asked to be traded, because he was like, "Yo, I played on the worst team and I still had the stats." Then he went to San Francisco. He
won a Super Bowl.
He was in the playoffs. He did what he did, and he told people he wasn't old and he didn't peak. And then he went to Dallas and he did the same thing. Like, he likes to prove people wrong, but he does it his way, and he never does it like in a year turnover and says he's gone. Like, he's not that guy.
He said God picked him told him to go coach for Jackson State, and that was for 3 years. So
I mean, but at least he was there 3 years, right? I mean,
that is true.
He puts time and commitment to his craft and whatever it is that he's doing, and that's what I like about him.
He's really
honest
committed
too. He said he would have been there forever if they would have just paid him, but they can't. Yeah. And he said that he wants to move up and out. Like, he wasn't like just trying to be a token coach. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
he was honest.
I know how Deion is. I just think.
So
see, John says God's the best agent. You know,
he must be a Colorado fan.
He said, Deion said that he's leaving Jackson State, so he wants to get his staff paid. So he spun it really well. You know?
I mean, you can't blame a man for being honest and trying to make money at the same time. This is a hard thing to do. And like you said, he could spin it how or say what he said. Deion has a skill, and people, and he's a leader, and kids follow him. He does his son. He's done stuff for his kids, and his sons and his daughters. So, like, you gotta respect him for being honest and being true to himself. And he's been doing it with his family, like keeping his family all together. That's not an easy thing for some of these coaches. A lot of coaching leads to a lot of unrest in family, and sometimes breaks up families. What Deion's been able to do, he chooses what he wants to do, how he does it, and it's been working out for him. And I don't feel like he's going to be in Colorado for 1 year. I think he wants to prove to everybody.
How long does he stay in Colorado?
You know what? I'll give him 2+ years, maybe 3 years.
Okay.
Because the thing is that everybody's going to be like, well, that was your first year. So then that's a prove it. He has to do like a prove it type tracking, right? He might stay there for 3 years and then move on to the NFL. Who knows?
Yeah. Well, he says he don't want to fool with the NFL. I think there's a good chance he may look at this Florida job. If Billy Napier survives this year, I know he won't survive 24.
Here's the thing, and what I like about Deion is he's no dummy, and he knows where he's wanted, and he knows where people are just gonna have a stranglehold on him, and that's why he didn't end up in any school in Florida, even though he's from Florida. Either the school wanted to control him, or they just want to throw money at him.
There wasn't any big openings last year in Florida.
Well, that's another.
Florida
thing
State
too.
Still got Norvell. Miami still got.
Well, they just signed Cristobal. Miami just signed Cristobal.
I like Cristobal. I think they have a big bounce back year too. By the way,
I don't know.
Big bounce back.
I don't know, because Cristobal, some of those games last year, I was like, they weren't even in the game and they were on the field. So I don't understand.
Nick Saban lost 6 games his first year at Alabama.
Oh man, why you always bring up other people that ain't got nothing to do with?
Hey, he's a good recruiter, man. Really good recruiter.
Nick Saban also coached Michigan State
too. So let's see. Okay, you mentioned the Jets interested in Dalvin Cook. What are your thoughts on that? I think if Breece Hall is 100%, I'll probably stay with Breece, but I don't know. Maybe he's not. That was a pretty rough injury last year.
When I heard that, I just started shaking my head like, this is what the Jets do, and it's just bothersome. It's like, okay, you got a quarterback. You have a pretty decent running back who was kind of trying to prove to you that he's a good quarterback. He got hurt. That happens. Who's protecting these guys?
Yeah.
Who? And you're going to throw out there a guy that you weren't sure about, and now you're telling him to protect the best quarterback that's ever played in this decade.
For this team, anyways.
Well, it don't matter. What Aaron Rodgers did in Green Bay doesn't matter for the Jets right now. All that matters is what he's going to do. And somebody's got to protect him. and they got a first round
37-year-old left tackle in Dwayne Brown, I think.
Yeah, but that's one guy. I mean, you know,
I'm a little I'm concerned about the line. Yes, that's my only concern. But you know,
I mean, that's the concern that everybody and anybody should have. It's like you can bring in wide receivers.
39 years old like that. I mean, you know, was he 38? I can't remember.
Well, here's another problem. They brought him in, which is okay. You need stability. You need influence. But you got Mekhi Becton, who you was trying to throw under the bus last year. Look what it hit, and I'm glad that they learned something from last year, that they've not been in his face with the media.
Right.
They've been kind of sheltering him, which is good. But now you're gonna throw him out there and be like, go guard the best quarterback that's ever played this game in the last 10 years. Come on, man. He could barely keep his weight last year. Like, this is a guy that you got to move up through the system. If you see he has a mental or emotional issue, then you deal with that. But you don't just throw him out to the Wolves. Now you're going to throw him out to the Wolves and be like, well, he was a first round pick. Yeah, he was a first round pick last year, but like, you know, a couple years ago, but don't mean that he's going to play to that potential yet. Like, they haven't put him in a situation. He hasn't played enough to be like, okay, now I'm ready to guard somebody and I'm ready to be in the big games. They don't know what they have in him. So now they're going to just throw him out in the Wolves. And how is Aaron Rodgers going to feel about that? I tell you what, the third snap, if he gets grass on his pants because he got slammed, Mekhi Becton gets benched, and in the midseason he's going to either get dropped from the team or they're going to move him. Because this is what.
So what about Dalvin Cook, man? Did they bring in Cook or did they not?
Don't bring nobody in and bring in the O lineman. Don't worry about all that jazz. You're the New York Jets. You got the best.
Yeah, I'm starting to think they probably shouldn't have went defensive end in the first round of the draft. They probably should have added depth to the offensive line.
You and every other Jets fans like, man, we now we got Aaron Rodgers because he finally committed. I've been asking that before he committed.
Okay,
who are you gonna?
Barry Tucker's moved to guard. Oh, you're right. But Beckham's been moved to right tackle, and Dwayne Brown, that's your left tackle. That's the most important position. He's got some age on him.
Oh.
You hope he can hold up. I know that Whitworth from the Rams, he was that age. He held up. They won a Super Bowl. But we'll see how that goes. Whitworth is older.
Yeah, but okay, so here's the thing.
Then again, I think it was Nate Boone at the end. They found a way to get it done against Cincinnati, and they got their Super Bowl win. Does this put the head coach in hot water if this Jet team don't make the playoffs this year?
He's been in hot water for the last 2 seasons. Listen, here's the thing.
He's only been there 2 seasons.
Here's the thing. Like,
but that's Woody Johnson for you.
They got a new OC as well. They also got a new OC.
Yeah,
I don't know, bro. Like,
well, it was Rodgers. It was Rodgers' quarterback coach with Green Bay. That's the thought behind it.
Oh yeah, and look how great he was as a head coach for
Denver. He was terrible.
For Denver.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. I mean, I don't look. I'm sorry, and I feel the same way about the Giants too. So I'm not excited. I'm just ready for the season to start and end. To be honest with you.
Yeah.
Like I told you. 8 and 9.
I haven't made my mind up on this Jet team. I want to look more into this offensive line. I want to look into the injury, the practice reports on Mekhi Becton, on Dwayne Brown.
They had just had opportunities to move these kids, but they didn't. I don't know. Whatever.
Well, that goes to your personality. Your head coaches that are defensive minded, they poo-pooed the offensive line here lately, and you could see we haven't had a lot of defensive-minded head coaches win the Super Bowls in the last 4 or 5 years either. I mean, I like playing defense, but man, at some point,
they're already running the Shanahan system, so you know those decent tight ends they have are going to be overworked because they don't have an O-line.
I know you're a big Shanahan fan, like you're a Tom Thibodeau fan with the Knicks. I like you said, I don't know if they really need Dalvin Cook right now. I think Cook would be a better fit probably with Miami. The scheme and everything would help him better there.
Oh, my gosh. Miami had him? Oh, my gosh.
That's what I'm saying. I think it would be great for Miami.
The biggest issue that Miami had was having a quarterback consistently and a running back.
That is true. Yeah. It
Why'd you bring
depends
up
on
the
that
Bills?
line. If that line is clicking, John, the Jets win that game. If that line is so, Buffalo beats. That's going to be a huge game right off the bat. Maybe the biggest game of the first week of the season is that Jets Buffalo game because of the star power.
Ah, man, I don't. They both gonna poo-poo it because the first 5 games of the season are junk anyway.
And I'm not high on Buffalo because of the Diggs saga.
I keep telling you about Buffalo, Robert, and you don't, and you just.
Well, you might be right about Buffalo this time around. But anyways, it's food for thought. And more important stories. What's your thoughts about this? Britney Spears, Wembanyama. I saw the video, man. What's she up there walking up to a guy like that, like she's a fan? I think her ego's hurt more than her physical being pushed out of the way, or you want to say slapped by the security guy. She just ran up. She didn't say nothing. He just put his hand out to stop her.
I mean, she only 5'4", 5'2", 5'4".
Well, the guy's only 19 years old. Brittany's 40-something. They didn't recognize her.
Where's this guy at that he needs a bodyguard anyways? That's what I want to know. Like, what is...
Well, he's in Vegas. They're in there for the spring games.
No, I'm just kidding. Like, I mean, you know.
That is true. He's 7'3". What do you need a bodyguard for?
Like, all you got to do is just, like, walk around people.
Any thoughts on that?
The situation is like, I think, Brittany's claiming she's a fan and she just wanted to, like, show some support and just want, a little bit of, like, reaction from him. But the security guard was on, like, beast mode, right?
Well, I guess he felt like he was doing the job. She was very aggressive. She didn't say, "Hey, I'm Britney Spears," or see, that tells you how that's that pretty girl.
Yeah, but Robert, if you
20 years ago, there's no problem. She could do it. Now it's like, who are you, lady? And I think she's hurt by that.
No, I don't think so. I think the whole situation just everybody, all like both sides of the situation are just like too much.
It's blown out of proportion.
Yeah, it's blown out of proportion. Like, but Robert, you went around and said you was Tom Cruise because you were about his height. You think people would stop and be like, "Is that Tom Cruise?" Don't just say who you are. Like,
I have to study that accent. I did like Top Gun. Did you like Top Gun Maverick? I thought it was pretty good. I didn't think it was overrated.
I haven't caught that. I've been on the Marvel and DC comic.
Oh, okay.
So,
I've got Amazon. That's the only reason I saw it. I wouldn't have ordered it.
It's on Amazon now?
It's on Amazon, yeah.
Okay, I'll check it out. No, but
it's pretty good, man.
I haven't been looking for it. But like, I tell you what, if you're Britney Spears, or anybody else, and on any level of celebrity from A to D, I mean, all you got to do is get a hold of this guy's agent, and I'm sure he's like 19 years old. I'm sure he'd like make time to like do something with you, like. Right. He's from France, first of all, so he's gonna be inundated in Vegas. If somebody called me or my agent up and be like, "Hey, Carlos, this guy want to meet you in New York," I'll be like, "I'll have a cup of coffee at Starbucks with him." Like, something simple. Right. You don't got to go out and be like, "Yeah, we're gonna meet at Parkside, restaurant at $60 a plate." No, he'd be like, "Yeah, I'll have a cup of coffee."
I think once her ego heals up, she'll be fine.
I think
and you're right. That's probably what he'll do. And he's probably never heard of her. She's not hardly hot. That's Taylor Swift. Now that's different.
Taylor Swift would have been like, first of all, she
would have never done that. I don't think.
No, not at all. I don't mean.
Remember Kesha? Remember when Kesha went up to Jerry Seinfeld and she kept trying to hug him?
And Jerry Seinfeld
like, I'm good. No. He's like, who is that girl?
He said like a few times under his breath, he's like, I'm married. Like don't touch me. Like there's a lot of cameras around. I'm a married man. Like, what I'm saying?
He didn't know her. Her ego was
that's another thing. He didn't recognize her. He didn't know her.
She's like 25 at the time,
bro. Oh my gosh, like, yeah, your day's coming, Robert. Don't be, you know.
Well, I just like
don't be
I
anxious.
like to see women get dissed like we do as guys,
Look, it happens. This is most of the time there isn't a camera around.
That is true. Okay, now I was having a little fun with that. Hey, man, what's your thoughts about? I didn't get a chance to ask you this, and I don't want to put words in your mouth. I didn't get asked you just the other day. Draymond Green, $100 million contract to stay with Golden State. We mentioned Chris Paul a little bit, but is this another championship team the way they're assembled?
Like, so people always question whether it was coaching or whether it's the players, right?
Okay.
And I'd have to say that the coaching style fit the players in the moment. And I'd have to say now that the coaching style has run its course and the players have run their course, and it's a mismatch.
Yeah.
They got old quick, man. You know, they were wanting to repeat all those championships, and that was the thought in the management and ownership's mind and coaching. And you know, if you don't get 2 in a row, it's okay because it's not easy to get 2 in a row. But you want 3-4 championships, you know, like that.
Don't you think
that was a more difficult feat to accomplish. And once they didn't get the third in the time frame that they wanted, they should have just been pulled 2 or 3 players out and got younger. You could have always kept Steph, but they did wrong by keeping Draymond the first time up this contract, and then they came back and upped Klay Thompson. Then Klay got hurt, but then Klay got hurt not because of just playing, but you know he's older now, so it's like, you know, they just didn't manage that whole situation, and they still haven't managed it right. And now Steph's sitting there with a team that they'll probably do good during the season, but when it comes on postseason, are they going to have enough horses, man? And I don't think so.
I'm like you. You got a little more faith than me. I'm thinking the league is so much better in the West now around them.
But
like, you know,
during the season, you can like kind of go in circles and win a few games on when the team is having a bad day.
They'll have a better road record without Jordan Poole because of the issue last year between him and Draymond?
To be honest with you, I think their biggest issue was the other player, Wiseman, right?
Well, yeah, he's another big. I think maybe they was prematurely gave up on him. I mean, they don't have any bigs now. I mean, they got rid of him.
I think
Looney don't get that many minutes for what they're trying to do.
And they had a nice little run with younger players and just gave up on them.
Yeah, only ones they're keeping is Peyton and who's the other guy? Wiggins, of course.
Mm-hmm.
You would think they would lean more into Wiggins, and maybe that's what it is. They're going to lean more into Wiggins during the regular season to make him more of a center point, a bigger role,
Wiggins,
per se.
I feel like with Wiggins, though, they should have, if anything, they should have moved him and got some more youth out of that, you know, draft picks or some younger guys. Maybe bring up some people from the G League. Because the thing is, with your core, you have, and your coaching, you have enough presence there to build up that team to do what you want it to do, and that's the younger guys who have the speed to run, right?
Yeah.
See, I'm looking at it like the way basketball's played today, which is why I'm not a fan of Tibbs, right? Because he has all these young guards and all those young players, and he was just depending on his older guys. And it's like, no, you got to go. You know, older guys are going to be there no matter what. But those young guys have to be in the game. You play with what you got.
Yeah,
right?
I heard you earlier today. I say you play who's playing well. You don't play young guys just to play young guys. I mean, you're paid to win games.
No, because if you have that structure and you have that game plan, you believe in what you're putting out there, your young guys are going to score. They're going to run up and down the and take.
Well, I'm not saying totally bench them. I just wouldn't, you know, I wouldn't give them extra minutes over my money guys. If my money guys had a better plus minus, I'm going to keep my money guys in there and work these guys until I feel like they're ready to make that. And I'm just not going to throw them in there, just throw them in there.
Okay, saying that, how did that work out for Damian Lillard and Chris Paul and all these guys in the playoffs who don't have legs and can't get nothing and get hurt because they're just too tired in the playoffs?
Well, that's more of a load management type of thing.
So now it's a load management issue, right?
They have a young guard in the summer league making some noise. Yeah, I mean, so we'll see how that. I did hear about that, and I think they drafted another guard too in the draft. They got
the opportunity to move the young players in, but they didn't take the opportunity to move Draymond and
I would have went for Dylan Brooks over Draymond. He's 7 years younger, man.
I don't understand.
And they're about the same player. Both get a lot of texts, bouncer type of guys.
I mean,
very similar stats,
What was that contract that he got in Houston?
Yeah, he got a pretty good contract in Houston. Yeah,
sure
did.
I don't think Golden State would have given that kind of money.
Yeah, I
don't know.
It goes back to Bob Meyer. Bob Meyer did not want to make those tough decisions, and you got to take the emotion out of it.
Yeah,
and let guys know this is a business. We're doing it for the betterment of the organization, and he didn't want to do that. It could be some other reasons, or maybe he did want to do it. Ownership didn't want to. You never know. We'll never know the real truth, I don't think.
And then even though players themselves, they're like, I don't want to play with somebody different, right?
Right.
I don't know, man.
Michael Jordan wanted to keep Charles Oakley.
Golden State is probably not going to beat Sacramento more than 2 times.
Sacramento will probably get better. I know Memphis is going to get better. I do. I really think Memphis will get better.
Golden State will have to play harder and get those games to make sure that they're not in the bottom end of that playoff. If not, they're going to get wrecked.
Yeah, I think they're a play-in team at best.
I know.
It's too deep in the West nowadays.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying to you. That's how I mentioned it to you. They might get to a playoff, but that's about it. They're not going to go anywhere.
Yeah, they're one and done this year. Unless they make a blockbuster trade for a young player,
Yeah, and here's the thing, Golden State fans, they might not even be a one and done. They might not get to the playoffs.
Your main guy's 36, and then you're depending on 2 34-year-olds. And then then I mentioned that you got also a 38, 39-year-old Chris Paul.
Sound like the Phoenix Suns a little bit.
Some are saying that they may do something else.
They got to make some other moves.
Yeah. That some are saying that. Do you got anything else you need to plug there? It looks like. By the way, it was on the John Orstano's show earlier, Spitball and Sports. Come check those guys out every night or on Fridays at 6 p.m. Eastern. Look for that on the Talk Play Against Sports, and of course the Spitball, and just look for Spitball and Sports podcast. It's gold and black, really good. John's very good.
Yeah,
John,
you guys got a lot of good content. Listen, and speaking of content, I went back on the video and I commented that I made the mistake about Latrell Sprewell.
He went to Alabama. I just read that. Yeah.
But he was on a good Alabama team.
He played with Robert Horry.
Yeah, man.
Big shot, Bob.
Yeah, he played with Robert Horry and
a long time
Jason
ago.
Caffey.
Robert Horry played for Alabama. I said, "Wow, okay." Joe Johnson played for Arkansas. Al Horford played for Florida. I mean, there's been some good players.
That Arkansas team was was Corliss Williams and all those guys on that team. But
who did?
Yeah. What Arkansas had Cornelius Willis? Remember him?
Who did he play for?
Arkansas.
Oh, okay.
He did play for Arkansas.
They did. I want to say they won in '94. They won the national championship in '94. So they're not obviously Kentucky's had a lot of great players. I mean, Jamal Murray went to Kentucky.
Rex Chapman.
Oh yeah, well, yeah, that guy. Jeez, that's one you'd like to forget. Tony Delk. Just a lot of chance, and that's why people are so annoyed my friend Donnie from Kentucky. He's so annoyed that they haven't won more. You got guys like Anthony Davis, DeMarcus Cousins, John Wall. They got another great class coming in this year. And and I told him, I said, well, Calipari doesn't have enough time to mold them. If they had 2 or 3 years, he would probably have about 4 championships by now.
Yeah, and the same thing happens with the Duke and North Carolina. I mean, they've had some teams, and then they don't show up in the playoffs.
It would have been nice to have Kyrie for 3 years with Duke. Tatum went to Duke.
Yeah, Tatum went to Duke, yeah.
So Duke really got some high-end guys there at the end that transferred better in the NBA actually than Christian Laettner. Well, Grant Hill was good before his injury.
Christian Laettner was good. He wasn't,
Jay Williams was really good. He got in a bad motorcycle accident.
Yeah, a lot of guys forget about Mr. Memphis Grizzly Battier, Shem Battier, man.
Who's your daddy? Battier. Who's your daddy? Battier. Now you remember that?
Memphis had opportunities with the Grizzlies to be in a few playoff runs.
I think Memphis took him with like the 4th pick. I was so hyped about that pick at the time because that's when Memphis became Memphis. Remember, they used to be the Vancouver Grizzlies.
Yeah, they had that.
Yeah, man. Crazy, man. I miss old Mike. That was a great team. 2001 Duke Blue Devils. Carlos Boozer, Jay Williams, and Shane Battier come back 25 points down in the semifinal against Maryland in 2001. One of the best comebacks ever to go on and win a national championship. I don't know if you remember that team.
Yeah, no, of course. And then Jay Williams gets drafted by Chicago and has that motorcycle accident.
He was money in that championship game or that semifinal game.
Yeah, man. He was like that. Look, I mean, that was a team. They knew each other, man. That was a team that when they're on the court, they knew where everybody was going to be. They had a good.
They never panicked.
Right, good basketball acumen for sure.
And that Maryland team was so good with a guy named Juan Dixon. They came back the very next year and won the national championship.
Oh yeah.
I want to say their only national championship.
No, that's right. Juan Dixon. Man, what a player!
Juan, I don't know how these names. That's when I was living up there in New York. Yeah, only really bad, annoying thing that happened to me when I was living is watching the Kings get beat by that Laker team. That was the one that I thought that was rigged, and of course that was the Tim Donaghy series. Yeah. That was a great series that year. I don't know how I remember that stuff, but
Chris Webber, what's his name?
Mike Bibby,
Peja,
Mike Bibby.
That was a good team. That was a good team.
Yeah, Christie, I think.
Yeah, Doug Christie. Yep. They all wanted to fight Kobe. Vadi was on that team. Oh, yeah. Look,
Mr. Flopster, Vadi Divac.
Yeah. Speaking of Kobe, and then we'll talk about flopping real quick.
Vadi's the king of that crap.
Nike's gonna re-release the Kobe line. They didn't say which shoes.
That. He's gonna be on NBA 2K too, Corey.
They didn't say which shoes, but they're going to release some of those shoes, re-release some of those shoes. And then on the flopping thing, I mean, do they have to make it a rule? Do they have to make it a rule? Can't they just?
Yeah, I don't like. Actually, I'm on board with I don't like players doing that, man.
Yeah, but just give them a technical foul. Why does it have to be a rule? Like,
I don't know. I'm glad that they're addressing flopping. That's time consuming, man. Stopping the clock, taking free throws, no autopsy, no foul. Bring it back to the 80s. I bring back head checking, Corey.
What's more annoying? The walk / Euro step, the 3-step Euro step, or the flopping?
That's a good question. I've always took traveling 24 on Corey, he loves NBA 2K. You're hyped about that more than anything, ain't you, Corey? I've been back into playing video games. I've got the remastered Sega and the Nintendo, and I'm thinking about just selling them both and going out and getting the PS5 or whatever and getting Madden and getting back into NBA 2K. I don't want to grow up. I'm a Toys R Us kid, Carlos.
Hey, they brought it back in Macy's. They got Toys R Us on the 3rd floor, son.
Corey, he hyped on that NBA 2K, man.
No, but like, I'm over that the carrying and the extra step and the Euro step. That's not. I mean,
it is kind of annoying, but the flopping's the most annoying thing ever, dude.
I don't know because you see when they do their turnaround, they carry the ball, they dribble it, take an extra step. I'm like, bro, have we been able to do that? We've been superstars. We've been like Spud Webb in the league.
That's a good point. That is a very good point. My dad always used to hound me about double dribbling, walking. Jordan used to get away with palming all the time.
Yeah.
But then you had the Jordan rules in air quote.
Then remember Allen Iverson?
Man, do I?
He used
love
to carry
that crossover.
Like
yeah. That's a good, yeah. That's the Euro step is that LeBron made a career out of that, with his powerhouse dunks, walking a mile. But flopping, I think they need to bring back hand checking and do away with flopping and just kind of make it more physical. I think that would be nice, man.
Check it out. Imagine LeBron did what he did with the Euro step, and Sean Kemp was just straight up jumping in front of people and just dunking in front of people. Right?
Sean Kemp, when I'm on swole.
The Rainmaker, son.
That's my favorite song. New Jersey Drive soundtrack, Queen Latifah, New Jersey. I can't forget. She's like, Sean Kemp, when I'm on swole, my baby sister. And I thought, man, that is nice. Nice little beat, man. New Jersey Drive soundtrack, Queen Latifah. I had the little Sean Kemp. I had the Sean Kemp shoes, the Reeboks with the camouflage, nice. Seattle Supersonics. They were a little heavy, little floppy, but they were Sean Kemp's,
Yeah, it wasn't heavy for Sean Kemp.
Chad Kess, John Morant carries like nobody's business. He's carrying that basketball like a bag of lunch. But
he's allowed to carry. He plays at the FedEx building, man. He's allowed to carry.
Hey, that's a good note to leave it on. I'll see you next week, man. And I'm sure we'll have plenty to talk about here.
Enjoy your weekend, guys. Keep watching the games. Vegas.
Yeah, I can't wait. I'm gonna try to get on that baseball this week, man, and see what's going on.
You're gonna get on some of those preseason Vegas matches with Wembanyama?
I've recorded the Brandon Miller matchup actually.
Nice.
So I'm gonna watch that one, and they're gonna play Charlotte. I think they're playing. They've already played about an hour ago. We'll check it out.
Yeah.
All right, man. Appreciate it.